Lily never rushed to school, not because she didn't like it, but because the walk there was the only part of her day that felt quiet, safe. She always took the long sidewalk that curved past the alley. And that's where she first saw him. A thin gray cat, barely more than bones and fur, sat curled beside a tipped trash bin. His ears were torn, and his eyes tired, wide, and golden watched her like he was waiting for something. At first, she just stared back. Then the next morning, she brought a half sandwich she had saved from dinner. "Here," she whispered, crouching down. "It's turkey." The cat didn't move at first. Then, slowly, he padded forward, sniffed, and took the sandwich gently from her hand. She smiled. "You look like a Dusty," she said. "Like the kind of cat that's been through a storm." From that moment on, Dusty started appearing every morning. He never walked next to her, just behind. Always a few steps back. Always watching. Lily never told her mom. It was hard enough to get a goodbye out of her in the morning. But Dusty, he listened. Every day. "Hi, Dusty," she'd whisper when she saw him at the corner. "I saved the crust for you." Some mornings, he was already waiting. Some days, he'd appear out of nowhere, like he'd followed her the whole way. He never meowed, never begged. Just watched and walked out at school. Dusty didn't go far. He sat under the big oak tree by the fence, where he could see the classroom windows. When the bell rang, he'd be gone. Like a shadow dot, it took a week before the kids started noticing. "Hey, Lily," one of the boys pointed. "That cat's following you." "It's my cat," she said quickly. "Kind of." But Dusty didn't look like any pet. His fur was patchy. One of his legs looked stiff when he walked. And yet there was something proud about him. Like he'd seen worse and survived it. One girl giggled. "He's ugly." Lily looked down. "No, he's not." Every day, the same. Dusty at the alley. Dusty by the tree. Dusty disappearing when school ended, until the day Mrs. Carter noticed Mrs. Carter was the kind of teacher who didn't miss much. She had short brown hair, glasses always sliding down her nose, and a calm voice that could make kids sit up without yelling. She stood by the window during art time, arms crossed, watching the same gray cat settle under the oak. After class, she called Lily up to her desk. "Sweetheart," she said gently. "That cat, does he belong to you?" Lily shook her head. "He's just always there." Mrs. Carter studied her face. "He looks like he's waiting for someone." Lily gave a tiny nod. "He waits for me." The teacher smiled, but her eyes looked worried. "That's very sweet. Do you feed him?" "Sometimes," Lily said. "He likes crusts." That night, Mrs. Carter stayed at her desk a little longer. She watched Dusty slink away behind the trees. Something about him didn't feel like a regular stray. The next day, Dusty limped more than usual. Lily dropped to her knees near the tree. "Are you hurt?" she whispered. Dusty looked at her and blinked slowly, then sat. She pulled a cracker from her pocket and placed it near his paw. "I'll bring real food tomorrow, I promise." At recess, Lily drew a cat with big yellow eyes and a heart over his head. She showed it to her friend Mia. "That's Dusty," she said proudly. Mia tilted her head. "Why do you like him so much?" Lily shrugged. "He listens." That night, Lily packed a small piece of cheese in a napkin. She held it in her fist the whole walk to school, even though it melted a little. Dusty ate it right from her hand. "I think you need me," Lily said, barely loud enough to hear. Dusty didn't answer. He never did, but he stayed. And in a world where things didn't stay, where parents forgot bedtime stories and dinners came from cans, Dusty stayed. Mrs. Carter started watching more closely. One morning, she parked early and saw the gray cat trot behind Lily all the way to school. She approached Lily during lunch. "Has anyone ever tried to take the cat?" she asked. "No," Lily said, chewing. Would you be sad if he stopped coming? Lily froze. I don't think he would. Why? Because I think he knows I'd be sad. The teacher didn't say anything for a moment. Then she nodded. Okay. The next few days, Dusty didn't show up. Lily looked everywhere behind. The dumpsters, under the benches. Her eyes darted around the alley on the way to school. But no Dusty. She didn't eat her sandwich. Just held it in her lap. Mrs. Carter noticed after school. She knelt beside Lily's desk. No Dusty today? Lily shook her head. Maybe he's just resting. He's not like other cats. He wouldn't leave. 2 days later, he came back. Dirtier. Thinner. But there. Lily ran to him, dropping her bag. Where were you? Dusty brushed his head against her hand. You scared me, she whispered. That afternoon, Dusty didn't leave. He sat under the tree even after the bell. Mrs. Carter walked over slowly. The cat didn't run. She knelt down. You're not just a stray, are you? Dusty looked up. Silent. Mrs. Carter saw it now. This cat wasn't just hanging around for food. He was watching, guarding, and something told her. There was more to Lily's story than anyone knew. She stood up slowly and glanced at the little girl walking toward the gate. See you tomorrow, Dusty, Lily said. Dusty turned to follow. Mrs. Carter didn't move. She watched them disappear around the corner, one small girl and one tired cat, walking like they'd done it forever. She whispered under her breath, What are you protecting her from? And the wind didn't answer. But something deep inside her stirred. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. She wasn't just watching a cat. She was watching a secret waiting to be told. If you feel connected to this story, please like, share, and let know your city or country below. Dusty was there again. Same spot. Same time. Under the wooden bench near room 2B, curled like a tired cushion. His tail flicked once every few minutes. He didn't sleep. He watched Dot from her desk, Mrs. Carter noticed. Not once or twice every single day. It was always the same. Lily would arrive, slipping through the gate with her backpack slouched and her head down. And behind her, a few paces back, came Dusty. He'd walk slow, limping slightly on his back paw. He never crossed the fence. Just stopped, sat, and stayed. At first, the teachers thought it was a coincidence, then a habit, but Mrs. Carter didn't believe in that many coincidences. Look at him, she whispered one morning, her eyes locked on the gray shape beneath the bench. That cat, it never misses a day. During math class, she stole glances through the window. Dusty was always in her line of sight. Still, watching Dot, it was like he had a job. Like something inside told him, stay here, stay close. Recess came. Kids ran out, screaming, laughing. Dusty didn't move. Some kids tried to call him. Here, kitty. Come on, little dude. He didn't budge. Even when a ball rolled past, he just blinked slowly, as if to say, I'm not here for games. Mrs. Carter walked past him on her way to the teacher's lounge. Dusty lifted his head, eyes calm but alert. Their eyes met. She didn't speak. Just walked past with her heart tugging in a way she didn't understand. Later that day, she sat beside Lily during silent reading. You know, she said quietly, he's still outside. Lily didn't look up from her book. He always is. Has he ever followed you anywhere else? Lily shook her head. Only school. He stops when I go in. Mrs. Carter watched her closely. He must like you a lot. Lily smiled a little. He waits for me. That afternoon, when the bell rang, kids rushed out. Backpacks bounced. Buses lined up. Dusty rose slowly and padded toward the gate. Lily ran to him. I'm here, she said, kneeling. Sorry I took so long. Dusty leaned into her side. Mrs. Carter stood at the doorway and watched them leave together again. Just like every day, every morning, every afternoon, she murmured, "Why?" The next day, she decided to come early. She parked across from the school at 7:15 a.m. The streets were mostly empty. No kids yet. No parents. But just before 7:30, she saw a small gray figure slink out from behind the alley near the hardware store. Dusty. He moved like he'd done it forever. Walked across the lot, crossed the grass, and curled under the bench by room 2B. Then waited. 10 minutes later, Lily appeared. Same path. Same pace. She didn't even look at him until she passed. "Hi, Dusty," she said softly. Dusty stood, followed her to the gate, then returned to his spot. Mrs. Carter couldn't shake it. She stepped into the classroom and sat at her desk. The bell hadn't even rung yet, but she opened her notebook. Under a blank page, she wrote, "Dusty, 7:27 a.m. arrival. Follows Lily. Never leaves until final bell. Observes classroom window. Purpose?" At lunch, she joined Lily under the tree. "He's very loyal," she said casually. Lily pulled tiny bits of bread from her sandwich. "He's mine, kind of. Do you feed him at home?" "I don't really have a home. Not one where he can go. Double quotes. Mrs. Carter hesitated. "Where does he sleep at night?" "I don't know. But he always comes back." The words sat heavy between them. That night, Mrs. Carter searched online for missing pet reports. Nothing matched Dusty's description. The next day, rain was in the forecast. And still, Dusty showed up. Wet, shivering. But there, kids stared. "He's not even scared of the rain," someone said. "He's like a little soldier." Another kid added. Mrs. Carter gave Lily an umbrella. "He's soaked. I'll dry him later," Lily said. Later that day, she drew a picture again. The same cat. The same eyes. Mrs. Carter looked over her shoulder. "You draw him a lot." "He's my safe," Lily said. "You're safe?" Lily nodded. "When he's there, I don't feel scared." Mrs. Carter paused, then quietly asked, "What scares you, Lily?" Lily bit her lip. "Nothing, not really." But her hands trembled. Mrs. Carter looked at the drawing again. This time, she noticed the cat was standing in front of a small figure, shielding it. That night, she drove past the alley where she'd seen Dusty come from. She parked across from the alley, engine off. Minutes passed. Then she saw Dusty emerging slowly, shaking water from his fur, then trotting off in the direction of the school again. Mrs. Carter followed. She wasn't even sure why. She just knew there was something behind those golden eyes. Something that made her heart ache. Back at school, she watched as Dusty took his place under the bench again. He didn't move. He didn't look around. Just stared toward the classroom, waiting for one little girl. A stray cat, no collar. No home, acting like a guardian. Mrs. Carter whispered to herself. He's not just watching Lily. He's protecting her. She didn't know what from yet, but she would find out. And so would Dusty. Mrs. Carter couldn't stop thinking about what Lily had said. "He's my safe." That word stuck in her head all night. Safe from what? The next morning, Dusty showed up again. Right on time. Kids buzzed louder than usual. Word had spread about the cat. "I bet he's her pet," one boy whispered. "No way. He's magic," another girl said. "He never eats or blinks." "Maybe he's a ghost," someone joked. Mrs. Carter heard it all from the classroom. She watched Dusty settle under the bench like he always did. Calm. Still. Watching. But Lily looked different. Her eyes had bags under them, dark and deep. She barely spoke during morning reading. Her pencil just rolled across her desk, while the others copied vocabulary words. Mrs. Carter leaned over and said gently, You all right today? Lily nodded, but her eyes stayed on the window. During recess, a group of kids crowded around her. Is that your cat or not? One asked. Lily didn't answer. Do you feed it? Or does it just, live at school now? Another said. I told you, a girl added. That cat's not normal. He's just Dusty, Lily finally said. Dusty? She nodded. That's his name. Why Dusty? Lily looked down. Because he looks like he came from someplace forgotten. The kids fell silent. Then the bell rang. Back inside. Mrs. Carter pulled Lily aside. Sweetheart, she said softly, if anything ever bothers you, you can tell me, okay? I'm fine. Okay. Just know I'm here. Lily sat down. Her hands stayed folded. The whole time. After school, Dusty was waiting like always. Lily ran to him, crouched down, and wrapped her arms around his neck. I wish I could take you home, but... Her voice trailed off. Mrs. Carter was close enough to hear. Dusty didn't move. He just leaned into her like he understood. Mrs. Carter stood at the door, frozen. Take him home. But couldn't. Why not? She glanced at the alley Dusty always came from. Something about that path chilled her. The next day, she made a note in her notebook again. Lily's eyes equals tired. Dusty's eyes equals same. Cat appears protective. Girl hiding something. During science, Lily fell asleep at her desk. Kids giggled. Mrs. Carter didn't. She gently tapped her shoulder. Lily jerked awake. Sorry, she whispered. You're okay. Did you sleep much last night? Lily didn't answer. At lunch, Mrs. Carter brought her a juice box and half a sandwich. You didn't bring lunch today. I forgot, Lily said. Did you eat? Breakfast? Dusty shared his crust. Mrs. Carter paused. Dusty doesn't have crusts. Lily blinked. It was a joke. But it wasn't. Not really. After school, Mrs. Carter followed from a distance. She saw Lily take the path past the alley, the same one Dusty came from. Then Lily turned down a street lined with rusted trailers and broken fences. She disappeared into one of them. Dusty waited outside. He sat on the steps, tail twitching. A few minutes passed. Then the door creaked open. A man stepped out. Shirt half-buttoned, holding a bottle. He staggered to the edge of the porch. Dusty stood. His body stiffened. The man kicked at him. Stupid cat. Always hanging around. Dusty jumped back, then crouched low. Inside, someone yelled. A woman. The door slammed. Dusty stayed at the edge of the porch until the lights went off. Mrs. Carter stayed in her car across the street. She clutched the wheel. She didn't know everything yet, but she knew enough to feel something was wrong. Back at school the next day, Lily showed up with her sleeve pulled low. Mrs. Carter noticed a faint mark near her wrist. Did you fall? She asked carefully. Yeah, Lily mumbled. At recess yesterday, but they didn't have recess the day before. It had rained. Mrs. Carter wrote another note in her notebook. Injury not matching story. Hiding something. She looked out the window. Dusty was there, as always, eyes wide, watchful. And suddenly, Mrs. Carter realized Dusty was more than a pet. He was a shield, a quiet witness, and maybe Lily's only one. Mrs. Carter's eyes stayed on Lily all morning. She couldn't stop thinking about what she'd seen yesterday. Lily's tired eyes, her slow answers, the way she flinched when touched, and Dusty, always outside, always watching. During art class, the kids were drawing things that made them feel safe. Draw what helps you feel calm, Mrs. Carter said. Could be a place, a person, anything at all. Lily grabbed a blue crayon. As she reached across the table, her sleeve slid up. That's when Mrs. Carter saw it. A dark bruise. Faded purple and yellow, like it had been there for days. Lily, she said, walking over gently. What happened to your arm? Lily froze, then pulled her sleeve down quickly. I fell, she said. Too fast. Too sharp. Mrs. Carter crouched next to her. Where did you fall? Outside, by the steps. Which steps? Lily looked at her paper. Just outside. Mrs. Carter didn't ask again. She didn't want to scare her. But she made another note in her journal that night. Visible bruise. Story unclear. Girl frightened. Must watch closely. After school, she stayed back again. Pretended to organize books while she waited by the window. Dusty was there. As always, Lily ran out, holding a small piece of bread wrapped in a napkin. She knelt beside Dusty. Here, she whispered. It's all I could sneak. Dusty ate. Slowly. Ben looked up at her like he could see something she didn't say. I'm okay, Lily said, but her voice cracked. It's not that bad. Mrs. Carter stepped outside, pretending to lock the classroom. Hi, Lily, she said softly. Heading home now? Lily nodded fast. Yeah. See you tomorrow. She walked off. Dusty followed. Mrs. Carter waited for a moment, then got in her car and drove the same way. She kept her distance. Just enough to see. Lily turned off the main road and kept walking past broken fences and empty yards. Then she stopped at a rusted trailer near the edge of town. Dusty stopped too. The place looked abandoned. One shutter was hanging off. A tire lay in the yard like it hadn't moved in years. Lily walked up the steps and knocked on the door. Not opened it, knocked. After a pause, someone yanked the door open. A man stood there, barefoot, shirtless, holding a drink. Mrs. Carter's stomach dropped. Lily said something quietly. The man stepped aside and she went in. Dusty didn't follow. He sat on the bottom step. A minute later, the man shouted, loud, something about shoes on the floor. Then a crash. Mrs. Carter gripped the steering wheel. Dusty didn't move. He sat like a soldier, guarding the door. She stayed for 20 minutes. Nothing else happened. No lights came on. Just silence. Back at home, she couldn't sleep. That image, Lily knocking on her own door, kept her awake. The next morning, Lily showed up at school like nothing had happened. Mrs. Carter smiled gently. Good morning. Morning, Lily said back. Her voice sounded small. During reading time, Lily drew something in her notebook. Mrs. Carter peeked when she wasn't. Looking. It was a trailer. A small girl on the steps, and next to her, a cat with golden eyes. Later that day, during cleanup, Mrs. Carter leaned down and whispered, He followed you home yesterday, didn't he? Lily nodded slowly. He always does. Why do you think he stays? Because he knows I'm scared. Mrs. Carter swallowed hard. At recess, the kids played tag. Lily sat under the tree. Dusty, as always, just outside the fence. One boy ran by and shouted, That cat's creepy. Lily didn't respond. Dusty didn't even flinch. After school, Lily waited at the gate for Dusty to catch up. You don't have to come, you know, she whispered. You could find a better place. Dusty just walked beside her like always. Mrs. Carter followed them again. Slower this time, keeping distance. The man was on the porch already, smoking. He yelled before Lily even got to the steps. Where were you? You think you can just leave every day and come back like it's nothing? Lily stopped. I was at school. He threw the cigarette down. Don't talk back. Dusty stepped between them, back arched. Stupid cat, the man muttered. He raised a boot like he might kick. Lily grabbed Dusty fast. No, he didn't do anything. The man glared, then turned away. You got 5 minutes to get inside. She hugged Dusty tight. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'll hide you next time. Mrs. Carter backed her car away slowly, heart pounding. This wasn't just a rough home. This was dangerous. And Dusty Dusty wasn't just following Lily. He was protecting her. The next morning, Mrs. Carter didn't wait. She called the school counselor. "I need help," she said. "It's about one of my students." And a cat. Asterisk Mrs. Carter didn't sleep much. The night before, the way Lily clutched Dusty, the bruise, the yelling, it haunted her. By morning, her decision was made. She had to see it for herself. She left early, coffee untouched in the cup holder. She didn't even bother with makeup. Her hands gripped the wheel tighter the closer she got to that street. When she reached the trailer park, everything felt too quiet. No kids, no voices. Just rows of tired homes, leaning into the wind. She parked down the block and turned off the engine. Lily's trailer sat at the edge of the row, near a broken fence. Then she saw her Lily sitting on the top step, knees to her chest, arms wrapped tight. She wore the same jacket from yesterday. The sleeves covered her hands. Her face was down, but from even this distance, Mrs. Carter could tell her eyes were red. Puffy, beside her Dusty, sitting upright, ears back, tail wrapped around. His paws, he wasn't resting. He was guarding. Every few seconds, his eyes moved left, right, door. Lily. Then the trailer door flew open. A man stumbled out, shirt untucked, yelling. "I told you not to just sit there like that," he barked. "What are you trying to prove?" Dusty jumped to his feet and stepped between him and Lily, his back arched. He hissed. Loud. Mrs. Carter's heart jumped. The man raised his foot. "Get out of my way, mutt." Lily stood quickly. "Don't." He didn't do anything. "Then get inside." She moved fast, pulling Dusty back gently. "Come on," she whispered. The man spat on the ground. "Stupid girl. Stupid cat." Then he disappeared inside. Lily sat again. Dusty sat with her. Mrs. Carter's eyes filled with tears. She reached for her phone, then stopped. What would she even say? No bruises today. No injuries she could report. Just sadness. Silence. She waited 10 more minutes. Nothing changed. Then she drove off. But her thoughts didn't leave that trailer. At school, Lily showed up late. No excuse, no note. Just walked in quietly and sat at her desk. Mrs. Carter smiled at her. "Good morning." Lily nodded. "Morning." Dusty was already outside the window. Lunch came. Lily barely touched her sandwich. "Not hungry?" Mrs. Carter asked. "I'll save it," Lily said. "For later." "Later at home?" Lily didn't answer. Recess came. While the other kids ran, Lily sat under the tree. Dusty sat close on the other side of the fence. They didn't speak, obviously, but it looked like they understood each other. Mrs. Carter walked over. "You two look serious," she said. Lily gave a small smile. "He's just thinking." "Thinking what?" "Probably about how to keep me safe." Mrs. Carter crouched down. "Do you feel unsafe, Lily?" Lily looked away. "I'm fine." But her fingers picked at the hem of her sleeve. Later, as the kids packed up, Lily stayed quiet. Her eyes never left the window. "See you tomorrow, Dusty," she whispered. Mrs. Carter heard her. That night, Mrs. Carter sat at her kitchen table. With her journal. She flipped back through her notes. Visible bruise. Late arrival. No food. Man yelled. Dusty hissed. She closed the book and opened her laptop. She searched how to report suspected child neglect. But she needed more. She needed something they couldn't ignore. The next morning, she parked down the block from the trailer again. Same thing. Lily on the step. Dusty by her side. But this time, she brought her camera. She raised it, hands trembling, and pressed record. The trailer door opened. The man shouted again. Dusty moved between them. Lily didn't flinch. She just held on to Dusty's. Furred up, Mrs. Carter hit stop. She had what she needed, but her heart still broke watching them. Dusty didn't look like a cat anymore. He looked like a guardian. And Lily? She looked like a little girl who'd forgotten what safety felt like. Asterisk. Mrs. Carter placed her phone down slowly. The video was on her screen. Lily on the porch. Dusty standing in front of her. The man yelling. Her heart was still pounding from watching it again. She didn't know who to send it to yet. But she knew one thing. Lily needed help. And Dusty. He wasn't just a cat anymore. He was the only thing standing between that little girl and something darker at school the next day. Lily walked in quiet, shoulders heavy, eyes on the floor. "Morning, Lily," Mrs. Carter greeted. "Morning," she whispered back. Dusty was already outside under the bench, his usual spot, alert and calm. Today's lesson was drawing something. Light after a hard math week. Mrs. Carter asked the class to create a picture of what home looked like. To them, she watched the kids as they grabbed crayons and markers. Some drew big houses with windows and smiling faces. Others drew backyards, bikes, birthday cakes. Lily worked slower. She held a single crayon tightly, the same brown one she always used for Dusty. Mrs. Carter didn't interrupt. When time was up, the students brought their drawings to the front. Then Lily walked up, quiet as a breeze, and handed in hers. Mrs. Carter glanced at the paper, and her breath caught. It was simple. Stick figures. A girl and a cat. But behind them was a crooked house. Black lines running down the walls like lightning. Cracks. Deep ones. She looked closer. There was a man too bigger than the others, with angry eyes scribbled in red. And right in front of the girl, Dusty. His small body drawn wider, stronger. As if he was shielding her. Mrs. Carter asked softly, "Who's this?" Lily didn't look up. "It's me and Dusty. And the house. It's where I live." Mrs. Carter kneeled beside her. "What are the cracks for, sweetheart?" Lily shrugged. "It's just what it feels like." Mrs. Carter's voice was careful. "Feels like what?" Lily finally looked up. Her eyes were wet, like it's falling apart. Mrs. Carter didn't push further. She just nodded and placed the drawing aside, like it was made of glass. After class, she stared at the picture again. She could hear the man's voice from the trailer. The crash. Dusty's hiss. This wasn't just art. This was a message. Later. That day, while the kids worked on group reading, Mrs. Carter stepped into the hallway and called the school counselor. "I have a student," she said quietly, "and I think something's really wrong at home." The counselor asked questions. Mrs. Carter answered everything. The bruise. The trailer. The yelling. The drawing. The cat. When she returned to class, Lily was staring out the window. Dusty was still there. At recess, Lily sat alone. Mrs. Carter joined her, sitting cross-legged on the grass. "You like drawing, don't you?" she asked. Lily nodded. "You ever draw Dusty at home?" "Sometimes, but I hide them." "Why do you hide them?" "Because he says drawing is a waste of time." "Who says that?" "My dad." Mrs. Carter kept her tone calm. "Is he the one who yells?" Lily didn't answer. Just looked down. "I'm not mad," Mrs. Carter said. "And you're not in trouble. But if something hurts you, I want to." "Help," Lily's voice cracked. "Can Dusty stay with me? If you ever need to go somewhere safe, we'll try. I promise." That night, Mrs. Carter scanned the drawing into her computer and attached it to an email. She sent it to the counselor with a note that read, "This is not just a drawing. It's a cry for help." The next morning, Lily arrived late again. Mrs. Carter greeted her with a warm smile. "Hi, Lily. We missed you yesterday. I had to stay home. Everything okay?" Lily hesitated. "He got mad because I spilled cereal." Dusty wasn't outside. Mrs. Carter stepped closer. "Where's Dusty?" Lily looked away. "He didn't come today." Mrs. Carter's stomach dropped. At lunch, Lily barely ate. She kept checking the window. "I think he's hurt," she said softly. I think something happened last night." Mrs. Carter wanted to go to the trailer right that minute, but she knew she had to wait. After school, Lily walked slower than usual. "I'll go look for him," she said quietly. "I can come with you," Mrs. Carter offered. "No. If he's hiding, he won't come out." Mrs. Carter let her go, but she watched. And as Lily disappeared down the sidewalk, she whispered, "Please be okay, Dusty. She needs you." Asterisk. The day after Dusty didn't show up, Lily came to school quieter than usual. She kept her head down, her steps slower than normal. Mrs. Carter noticed right away. "Morning, Lily," she said softly. Lily gave a small nod. "Morning." Her backpack sagged more than usual. Her hair was tangled, like she'd gotten up late. She didn't look toward the window. Dusty still hadn't come back. Mrs. Carter checked 3 times before class started. Nothing under the bench. Nothing near the tree. No golden eyes watching from the corner. As the students unpacked their lunches. Later that day, Mrs. Carter noticed Lily wasn't moving. She just sat at her desk, staring at her hands. "Lily?" she asked gently. "Aren't you going to eat?" Lily looked up, startled. "Oh, I forgot it." Mrs. Carter knelt beside her. "Did you eat breakfast today?" Lily shook her head. "I was late. I have an extra sandwich." "Would you like it?" Lily hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, please." Mrs. Carter handed it over quietly. Lily unwrapped it and took the smallest bite. But after that, she devoured the whole thing. It was gone in minutes. Mrs. Carter sat across from her. "You were hungry." Lily looked away. "Sorry." "Don't be sorry." Lily picked at the napkin. "Sometimes I forget. Sometimes there's nothing." "Nothing for breakfast?" Lily nodded slowly. Mrs. Carter waited a beat. "Does your dad pack your lunch?" Lily looked down. "He forgets sometimes." Mrs. Carter hesitated. "What about dinner?" Lily shrugged. "If he's not mad, he makes something. Or I eat cereal. But Dusty always finds something." That made Mrs. Carter pause. "Dusty feeds you?" Lily gave a tiny smile. "Sometimes he brings things. Like pieces of bread or old snacks from somewhere. I know it's weird, but it's like he shares." Mrs. Carter blinked hard. "He gives me his part," Lily added. "Like he knows when I didn't eat." There it was again. That invisible line between child and cat. Dusty wasn't just a pet. He was a provider. A protector. Mrs. Carter whispered, "That's not weird at all." The rest of lunch passed quietly. Afterward, Mrs. Carter stepped into the hallway and leaned against the wall. She pressed her hands to her eyes. A child depending on a stray cat to eat. How had this gone unnoticed for so long? She went straight to the staff lounge and made a list. 1. Extra snacks in desk. 2. Keep Lily after school. Feed her if needed. 3. Push harder with CPS. That afternoon, when the bell rang, Lily moved slowly. She glanced at the window for the first time all day. Still no Dusty. Mrs. Carter walked over. "Still no sign?" Lily shook her head. "He always comes back." "I hope he does." "He will," Lily said. But her voice sounded like she was trying to convince herself. As Lily walked to the gate, she paused. "Thank you for the sandwich," she said. Mrs. Carter smiled. "You're welcome anytime." Lily looked back one more time at the empty yard, then walked away, alone. Asterisk. Rain pounded hard against the windows. Thunder rolled over the sky like drums. Most of the students had gone home early, but Mrs. Carter stayed behind, grading papers while the storm rattled the school. She was just about to pack up when something caught her eye. A gray shape outside. She stood, walked to the window, and gasped. Dusty. Soaked, shivering, still under the bench. He hadn't been there all week. But now he was back, and he looked worse than ever. His fur was flat against his body. His tail dragged, but his eyes were wide, Alert. Mrs. Carter grabbed her umbrella and rushed outside. "Dusty?" she called out. He didn't move away. Didn't hiss. Just stood and looked at her. She knelt down slowly. "Where have you been?" Dusty blinked, then turned. He didn't run. He walked out one step at a time, looking back to make sure she followed. And she did. Through the rain, across the street, past the corner. He kept leading her, her shoes soaked through. Her coat stuck to her back. Still, she followed. They passed the same cracked sidewalk, the same. Then fence. Then Dusty stopped. The trailer. Lily's trailer. The lights were off. But something was wrong. Mrs. Carter heard it shouting. Then a cry. A high-pitched sob, muffled behind the thin walls. Dusty bolted to the porch. He scratched the door. Lily's voice came through. "Stop. Please stop." Mrs. Carter didn't hesitate. She ran to the door and pounded. "Open up. Lily, are you okay?" The trailer went silent. She tried the handle. Locked. "Lily." "It's me. It's Mrs. Carter." More silence. Then footsteps. The door creaked open. Lily stood there, one hand holding the door, the other wiping her face. Behind her, a broken plate lay on the floor. Dusty pushed past and rubbed against Lily's leg. She knelt and hugged him tight. "I told you not to come back," she whispered. Mrs. Carter stepped inside. The man was on the couch, holding a bottle. He didn't even look up. "I'm fine," Lily said quickly. "It's okay now." Mrs. Carter knelt beside her. "It's not. Okay, he's hurting you, isn't he?" Lily looked down. "He gets mad sometimes, but only when he's tired." "Sweetheart," she said gently, "being mad isn't a reason to hurt someone." The man stood up. "Who are you to come in here telling us how to live?" Mrs. Carter stood her ground. "I'm her teacher, and I'm here because she matters." Dusty stood between them again, just like he always did. His body low, his growl quiet, but there. "Get your cat out of my house." The man barked. "He's not just a cat," Lily whispered. Mrs. Carter looked at her. "We need to go." Lily didn't move. "What if he comes after me?" "He won't," Mrs. Carter said. "I promise." She looked the man in the eye. "You do anything else, and I'll come back with the police." The man didn't answer. Lily stood. Dusty followed close behind. Mrs. Carter wrapped her coat around the girl and held her close. As they stepped outside, the rain came down harder. But Lily didn't care. She held on to Dusty like he was the only thing keeping her upright, and maybe he was. Back at the car, Mrs. Carter opened the door. "Get in. We're going somewhere safe." Lily looked up. "Can Dusty come?" "Of course," she said. "He's part of this now." Dusty jumped in without hesitation. As Mrs. Carter drove off, she looked at the girl curled up beside the cat in the back seat. Rain hit the windows, but inside the car, there was finally peace. Asterisk. The rain still beat down on the car roof as Mrs. Carter drove, her hands tight on the wheel. Lily sat in the back, holding Dusty close, eyes fixed on the floor. Neither of them spoke until they were halfway across town. "Where are we going?" Lily asked softly. "To a place where no one can yell at you or hurt you," Mrs. Carter said. "Just for tonight." "Will they let Dusty stay too?" Mrs. Carter looked in the mirror. "We'll make sure of it." She took Lily to her own house. It was small, quiet. The kind of place that always smelled like tea. Lily didn't ask for toys or snacks. She just sat with Dusty on the couch, stroking his fur in silence. "He always knows when something's wrong," she said. "I know." Mrs. Carter replied. "I saw him that day at the school fence. He wouldn't leave until you came out." Lily looked up. "He was watching me?" "He always was." That night, Mrs. Carter made soup and toast. Lily ate slowly, as if she wasn't sure if it was really hers. Dusty sat by her feet, eyes on her bowl, but not begging. After dinner, Mrs. Carter gave her some pajamas. Too big, but soft. You can sleep in the guest room, she said. Will Dusty be okay in there too? Of course. Lily smiled for the first time in days. But just after midnight, there was a knock at the door. Mrs. Carter froze. She opened it slowly. A police officer stood outside. Ma'am, we received a report. There's been a disturbance. The father's looking for the girl. Mrs. Carter stepped outside, lowering her voice. He's not safe. She's been hurt. I've seen bruises. I've heard him scream. We're opening a file, the officer said. But for now, she can stay here. Back inside, Lily was already sitting up. Are they going to take me back? No, Mrs. Carter said firmly. Not tonight. The next morning, she called the school to explain everything. Later that afternoon, though, something changed. Dusty stood by the front door and scratched. Mrs. Carter opened it. Where are you going? Lily asked him, but he was already on the move. They followed him in the car, just like before. This time, he didn't stop at the school. He led them back to the trailer. Mrs. Carter parked far down the street. I don't like this, she muttered. Dusty darted forward and stopped by the porch. Then the yelling started. Why do you always lie? I told you not to touch anything. Then crash. A plate. Mrs. Carter jumped out of the car and ran. She pounded on the door. Mr. Howard. It's Mrs. Carter. Open up. Silence. Then Dusty stepped forward and scratched the door. Again. Harder. After a few seconds, the door creaked open. Lily stood there. Her lip was bleeding. She looked up, eyes wide and glassy. Please, she whispered. Don't tell anyone. Dusty rubbed against her leg. Slowly. Carefully. Like he knew she was broken inside. Mrs. Carter stepped in. You're hurt. I tripped. No, you didn't. The man stumbled from the hallway. She always makes it worse, always crying, always blaming. Mrs. Carter's voice was sharp. You need to step back. She's my daughter. She's a child. And right now, she's leaving with me. Dusty let out a low growl. The man froze. Mrs. Carter turned to Lily. Get your things. I don't have much. Then take what matters. Lily looked at Dusty. He's all I need. Minutes later, they were back in the car. Lily sat in the passenger seat this time. Dusty curled in her lap. Mrs. Carter stared straight ahead. We're not going back again. Not ever. And no one argued. Mrs. Carter didn't go straight to class the next morning. Instead, she stood in the staff room, holding a folder against her chest. Her hands were shaking. Inside were notes, printouts, a copy of Lily's drawing, a photo of the bruise, a screenshot of Dusty outside the classroom window. And now, after what she saw at the trailer, it was too much to carry alone. She sat down, dropped the folder on the table, and whispered, I need someone to listen. Mr. Daniels, the gym teacher, looked up from his coffee. You okay? Mrs. Carter's voice cracked. No, I'm not. She opened the folder. This girl, Lily, she's in my class. And I think something's really wrong at home. Mrs. Green, the school counselor, leaned in. Go on. Mrs. Carter pointed to the photo. She shows up with bruises. She never brings lunch. I've seen her fall asleep at her desk. And this cat, he follows her every day. He waits outside from the first bell to the last, like he's protecting her. A cat? Mr. Daniels frowned. She calls him Dusty, Mrs. Carter said. He's not just a pet. He's a guardian. He was with her the night I saw her dad screaming. The same night, I saw a plate thrown across the trailer. You saw it? Mrs. Green asked. I did. I was there. I recorded part of it. But there's no bruises now, and Lily won't admit anything. She's scared. I can't force her to talk. Mr. Daniels rubbed his chin. Without her saying it, CPS might not act fast. Mrs. Carter's voice lowered. That's why I'm documenting everything. Every conversation, every drawing, every photo of Dusty waiting outside that window. Mrs. Green took a deep breath. You're doing the right thing. Just keep collecting. We'll need a full picture to push it forward. Mrs. Carter nodded. I don't want to wait until something worse happens. Later that day, while the kids were at recess, she opened her drawer and pulled out a small notebook. She wrote, Tuesday. Lily arrived late. No lunch. Said Dusty fed her scraps. Wednesday. Rainstorm. Dusty appeared soaked. Led me to the trailer. Heard shouting. Thursday. Lip injury. Claimed she tripped. Found shattered plate inside. She clipped a photo of Dusty next to the entry. That night, she sat in her living room. Lily was asleep in the guest room. Dusty curled up at her feet. Mrs. Carter whispered to herself. You know, don't you? You've seen everything she's too scared to say. Dusty opened one eye. He didn't move, but somehow she felt like he understood. She reached for her phone and added another picture to the folder. Lily and Dusty curled up on the bed. A child. And a cat. Tied together by more than just friendship. Bound by survival. Asterisk. Mrs. Carter had been watching everything closely. Every day, she logged new notes. Lily's mood. Dusty's behavior. Even what time they both arrived. She thought she had more time. But then it happened. It was a Friday afternoon. School was almost over. The sun was just starting to drop, casting long shadows across the playground. Most of the kids had gone home early. Lily stayed behind to help Mrs. Carter clean up the reading corner. Dusty was outside, curled under the bench like always. Then the gate slammed open. A loud voice broke the calm. There you are. Lily froze. Her hand dropped a stack of books she was holding. It was Mr. Howard, her father. He stormed across the yard, eyes locked on Lily. You think you can just hide from me? Mrs. Carter moved fast, stepping in front of Lily. Sir, you need to leave. You can't be here without permission. She's my daughter, he barked. I'll take her home myself. She's in my care right now, Mrs. Carter said. Firmly, you're not taking her anywhere. Mr. Howard grabbed Lily's wrist. That's when Dusty appeared. In one flash of gray, he lunged from the bench, teeth bared. He sank them deep into Mr. Howard's arm. Hey, Hatch! Get this filthy animal off me. Mr. Howard shook his arm violently, trying to fling Dusty off. Dusty held tight for a second longer, then let go and dropped to the ground. Standing between Lily and the man, blood dripped from Mr. Howard's sleeve. His eyes were full of rage. You've trained that mutt to attack me? He was protecting her, Mrs. Carter snapped. Because you weren't supposed to be here, and you laid hands on her. A few teachers came running from the building. One called the office. Another called the police. Lily stood frozen, her hand covering her mouth. Dusty didn't move from her side. The principal came rushing out. What's going on here? This man trespassed, Mrs. Carter said. And he tried to drag Lily out of the school. She's my kid. Mr. Howard shouted. And you're scaring her, the principal said firmly. Mr. Howard turned to Lily. Get in the car. Now. Lily stepped back. I don't want to. You don't get to want. Mrs. Carter stepped between them again. You're done yelling at her. You're done hurting her. We're not going to ignore this anymore. The police arrived minutes later. They spoke to Mr. Howard, then took statements. Dusty sat next to Lily the entire time. His fur still bristled. An officer looked at the bite. We'll need to get that checked. Double quotes. Mrs. Carter nodded. Dusty only bit because she was in danger. Lily whispered, Please don't take him. The officer softened. No one's taking anyone yet. We just need the facts. Later, inside the office, Lily sat next to Mrs. Carter. Is he going to be madder now? She asked. Mrs. Carter looked into her eyes. You don't need to be scared anymore, But what if they send me back? They won't, she said. We've seen too much now. Dusty curled up beside Lily's feet. His body finally relaxed. Mrs. Carter reached for her phone. She opened the file. All the photos, the drawings, the notes. And now, this, a public outburst. A witness list. A bite that might have saved a life. She sent it all to the school district and child services. By the time she hit send, her hands were shaking, but she knew this time they'd have to act. Later that night, Lily slept at Mrs. Carter's again. Dusty didn't leave her side. Even in her sleep, Lily whispered to him, "You saved me." And Dusty, he didn't purr. He just stayed, watching, still protecting, still fighting. Asterisk. Mrs. Carter had just finished organizing the reading folders when she noticed Lily's backpack lying near the door. Half-zipped. "Lily," she called gently. "Don't forget your bag." Lily didn't answer. She was helping Dusty drink from a small dish on the classroom floor. Mrs. Carter picked up the backpack and froze. There was a piece of folded paper sticking out of the side pocket. She hesitated, then slowly pulled it out. The paper was wrinkled, the handwriting small and careful. Her heart dropped as she read the first line. "If something happens to me, please take care of Dusty." Mrs. Carter sat down. Her hand shook. She kept reading. "He's not just a cat. He's my best friend. He's the only one who knows everything. I don't know where I'm going, but I can't stay. I'm scared all the time. I know no one believes kids like me. But maybe someone will believe Dusty." Mrs. Carter couldn't breathe for a second. She looked up at Lily, still quietly sitting with Dusty. "Lily," she asked, "can we talk?" "For a minute?" Lily stood slowly. "Am I in trouble?" "No," Mrs. Carter said softly, "but I found this." She held up the letter. Lily's face went pale. "You weren't supposed to see that." "I'm glad I did," she said. "Were you going to run away?" Lily looked at the floor. "I was thinking about it." "Why?" "Because I thought maybe it'd be easier. I could hide somewhere with Dusty. No yelling, no bruises. Just quiet." Mrs. Carter's eyes welled up. "You don't have to run. We're already helping you. Your dad can't take you back now. We filed a report. We're fighting this. I didn't know if anyone believed me." "I believe you," Mrs. Carter said. "I always have." Lily knelt beside Dusty. "I just didn't want him to be alone. If something happened to me, I knew he'd be scared." "He'd never stop looking for you," Mrs. Carter whispered. "Just like you'd never stop looking for him." That night, Mrs. Carter couldn't sleep. The letter sat beside her on the nightstand. She thought about all the times Lily had stayed quiet, the half-eaten lunches, the drawings, the broken words. And how this small cat had carried it all without saying anything. The next morning, Mrs. Carter walked into the district office with the letter in her hand. She placed it on the table in front of the caseworker. "You need to read this," she said. "Now." The woman read the first few lines and looked up. "This changes everything." "Yes," Mrs. Carter said. "Now you can't say she's not asking for help." The caseworker nodded. "We'll move faster. We'll get her somewhere safe permanently." Back at school, Lily sat by the window. Dusty rested under her chair. She didn't know yet that Mrs. Carter sat beside her. "Something good is going to happen soon." Lily looked over. "Like what?" "Like a new chapter. A place with a door that doesn't slam. With warm meals. And maybe even a bed that smells like soap." "Will Dusty come too?" "Always," Mrs. Carter said. "Wherever you go, he goes." Lily smiled, small and tired. "He deserves that." Mrs. Carter nodded. "So do you." Asterisk. Lily didn't show up that morning. No warning. No call. Just an empty desk. Mrs. Carter kept checking the window, hoping to see Dusty waiting like always. But the bench was bare. She felt it in her chest. Something was wrong. By lunchtime, she wasn't waiting anymore. She grabbed her coat, told the principal she had to leave, and ran through the front doors into the pouring rain. The drive to the Vine for the Divide ran through the front doors into the pouring rain. The drive to the front rain. Trailer was short, but it felt endless. She pulled up and hit the brakes fast. The trailer door was wide open. Rain slammed down, soaking the porch. And there was Dusty standing on the step, soaked, tail fluffed, meowing over and over again. Mrs. Carter rushed out of the car and ran to him. Dusty, where's Lily? Dusty didn't run. He just turned and stared into the trailer. His cries louder now. Mrs. Carter stepped inside, heart racing. The place was dark, cold, empty. She looked around. Dishes were still in the sink. A chair was tipped over, but no one was there. And on the faux chair was tipped over, but no one was there. But no one was there. And on the faux table, Lily's stuffed rabbit. Next to it, a note, torn, damp at the corners. Mrs. Carter picked it up with shaking hands. I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to be a problem anymore. Please don't be mad at Dusty. He tried to stop me. Lily. Mrs. Carter sat down hard in the nearest chair. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Dusty paced the doorway, his eyes full of panic. Mrs. Carter folded the note and put it in her coat. Then she knelt down. Dusty. Where would she go? Dusty looked at her, then turned and ran not away, but toward the road. Mrs. Carter didn't think. She jumped back in her car, soaked through, and followed him. He led her across the field behind the trailer, past the woods, over a small ditch. Then he stopped near an old bus stop, barely a shelter, just a bench and a metal roof. And there she was. Lily curled up on the bench, knees to her chest, rain dripping from her hair. Dusty ran up first. He jumped onto the bench and nuzzled her face. Lily's eyes opened slowly. Dusty. Then she saw Mrs. Carter. Her face crumpled. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Mrs. Carter dropped to her knees beside her. Why did you leave? I thought if I ran, everything would get better. I didn't want anyone to keep fighting over me. No one's fighting over you, Mrs. Carter said. We're fighting for you. I just didn't want to lose Dusty. You're not going to. Lily looked down. He followed me even when I told him to stay. Of course he did, Mrs. Carter said. Because he's yours, and you're his. Lily started crying. I was so scared. I know, Mrs. Carter whispered. But you're not alone anymore. She pulled Lily into her arms. Dusty curled up beside them. All three sat in the rain for a while, not speaking, just breathing, just together. Asterisk. Mrs. Carter held Lily tightly as the rain kept falling. Dusty curled beside them, his eyes wide but calm. The wind was cold, but none of them moved. After a few quiet minutes, Lily finally whispered, I didn't know where else to go. I know, Mrs. Carter said, but you don't have to run anymore. Lily wiped her face with her sleeve. Are they going to send me back? No, Mrs. Carter said firmly. Not this time. I promise. Just then, Dusty lifted his head and looked toward the trees. What is it? Mrs. Carter asked. Dusty stood, ears forward, alert. Then they heard it crunching. Not footsteps on gravel, but soft, squishy sounds. Mrs. Carter stood up fast. Come on, she said. We need to go. Now. She picked Lily up in her arms, and Dusty ran ahead. They didn't go back toward the road. Dusty took them another way through a narrow path. Behind the trees, they followed, pushing through branches, feet sliding in the mud. Then they saw footprints. Small ones. Lily's shoes had left a clear trail in the soft ground. Mrs. Carter stopped to catch her breath. Dusty knew you'd be out here. Lily looked down at her own muddy prints. I didn't think anyone would follow me. I would have searched all night if I had to. Dusty circled back and rubbed against Lily's legs. I just didn't want to go back to the trailer, Lily said. Ever. You won't. But what if they make me? They won't, Lily hesitated. What if Dusty's not allowed wherever I go? Then we'll find a place that lets him stay too. She finally smiled. You really mean that? With all my heart, Mrs. Carter said. He's not just your cat. He's your protector. Lily knelt in the mud, wrapping her arms around Dusty's neck. I don't know what I'd do without him. Dusty didn't flinch. He just stayed close, leaning into her as if saying, I'm not going anywhere. They kept walking. The rain began to fade into a light drizzle dot at the edge of the woods. Mrs. Carter spotted her car. You found me in time, Lily said softly. No, Mrs. Carter whispered. Dusty did. Once inside the car, she turned the heat up and wrapped Lily in a blanket she had in the back seat. Dusty climbed onto Lily's lap and curled up tight. I thought I was going to sleep out there, Lily said. You don't have to sleep outside ever again, Mrs. Carter told her. We're going to fix this. Lily looked down at Dusty. He never gave up on me. Double quotes. Mrs. Carter blinked back tears. Neither did I. They sat for a moment before driving off, and even though the sky was still gray for the first time in a long while, Lily felt warm. Safe. Home. Asterisk. Mrs. Carter tucked the blanket tighter around Lily as she drifted off on the couch. Dusty was curled up beside her, his chin resting gently on her arm. For the first time in days, the house was quiet. But, Mrs. Carter knew the silence wouldn't last. She picked up her phone and called CPS. It was time. I have a student. Her name's Lily. She ran from home. She's been staying with me. The voice on the line was calm but serious. Is she safe right now? Yes, Mrs. Carter said. She's sleeping on my couch. But she won't talk much about what happened. Her cat, has been protecting her for weeks. We'll come by in the morning. When Mrs. Carter hung up, she looked over at Lily again. The little girl was still asleep, but one hand gripped Dusty's fur like she was afraid to let go. The next morning, Lily woke up slowly, blinking into the morning light. Did I really sleep here all night? Yes, Mrs. Carter said with a soft smile. You needed it. Is Dusty okay? He never left your side. Lily reached over and scratched behind Dusty's ear. He always knows when I need him. Lily, Mrs. Carter said gently. Someone's coming to talk with us from child services. I told them what happened. Lily looked down. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart. Not at all. There was a pause. Then Lily whispered, I just don't want to be sent back. You won't be, Mrs. Carter said. We're going to make sure you're safe. Around 10 a.m., a woman from CPS arrived. Her name was Ms. Harris. She smiled kindly and sat across from Lily. Hi, Lily. I heard you've had a really hard time. Lily nodded. I'm not here to scare you, Ms. Harris said. I just want to help. Can I ask you a few questions? Lily looked at Mrs. Carter. It's okay, she said. I'll be right here. Did your dad ever hurt you? Lily hesitated, then nodded. When he drank, he got mean. Did Dusty ever get hurt? No, Lily said quickly. I always made sure he stayed out of the way. Miss Harris took a deep breath. Thank you for telling me. That was very brave. I just want Dusty with me, Lily said. Her voice shook. Wherever I go. Miss Harris looked unsure. That depends on where we place you. Not every foster home. No, Lily whispered, holding Dusty tighter. He's all I have. Mrs. Carter stepped in. He's not just a pet. He's part of her story. Part of her survival. He's coming with her. Miss Harris gave a small nod. We'll try, sweetheart. Lily looked at Mrs. Carter. Promise? Mrs. Carter knelt beside her. He's not going anywhere. That night, Lily packed a few things she had into a small backpack. She looked at Dusty. Do you think they'll really let you come?" Dusty just blinked slowly and rubbed his head against her arm. Mrs. Carter walked her to the door. "They found a place for now." "A foster home. It's not far. Will they be nice?" "I think so. And I'll visit as much as they allow." Lily took one last look at the house, then at Mrs. Carter. "You saved me," she whispered. Mrs. Carter smiled. "No, Dusty did. I just followed him." As Lily stepped outside, Dusty at her heels, the air felt different, lighter somehow. Not everything was fixed, but everything had finally started. After Lily left with the social worker, the house felt too quiet. Mrs. Carter picked up Dusty's small food bowl and cleaned it slowly. He was staying with her for the weekend until Lily's foster family gave an answer. He didn't meow or pace. He just lay on the rug near the front door, eyes half closed, ears still listening. She watched him for a while, then picked up her phone. "Hi, this is Mrs. Carter," she told the vet's office. "I need to bring in a stray cat. He's important to one of my students." They gave her an afternoon appointment. When she carried Dusty into the clinic, he didn't fight. He didn't scratch or hiss. He just sat in her lap, quiet, like he knew it had to happen. The vet, a kind older woman named Dr. Nina, lifted Dusty gently onto the table. "Well, you've had quite a journey, haven't you?" she said, checking his ears, his eyes, his paws. Mrs. Carter stood nearby, hands clasped. "We think he's been astray for a long time, but I wanted to be sure he's healthy. He's been living with a little girl." Dr. Nina gently turned Dusty over, then stopped. "Do you see this?" she asked. Mrs. Carter stepped closer. Faint white lines, scars, all over his belly and hind legs. "These are old," Dr. Nina explained, "but they're not from the street, not from other cats. These are from something or someone who meant harm." Mrs. Carter's heart sank. "He was abused?" Dr. Nina nodded. "Probably, but he survived, and he's strong. Still gentle, too." Dusty blinked slowly, like he was unfazed by any of it. Back in the car, Mrs. Carter couldn't stop thinking. All this time, Dusty wasn't just watching over Lily. He understood her pain. He had lived it too. When they got home, she sat on the couch, Dusty in her lap. "I get it now," she whispered. "You saw yourself in her." Dusty purred softly. His body finally relaxed. Mrs. Carter stroked his back. "Two survivors," she said. "That's what you are." Dusty leaned into her hand. Not all animals run when they're hurt. Some stay. Some protect because they know exactly what it means to be broken and still love anyway. Asterisk. Dusty sat quietly in the back seat of Mrs. Carter's car. He didn't meow. He didn't move much. But his eyes watched the road ahead like he understood where they were going. In the seat beside him was a small blanket. It still smelled like Lily. Mrs. Carter glanced in the mirror. "Almost there, Dusty. She's been asking about you every day." Earlier that morning, the call had come in. "Mrs. Carter?" Lily's new foster family said yes. "The cat can come." She didn't ask twice. She packed Dusty's little food bowl, his blanket, and the tiny toy mouse Lily had given him weeks ago. Now, they were pulling into a driveway lined with flowers. Lily stood by the door with her foster parents. She wore clean clothes, and for the first time in a while, her face looked rested. But she wasn't smiling. "Not yet." Mrs. Carter opened the door. Dusty stepped out slowly. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Dusty!" She ran to him and dropped, to her knees. Dusty didn't hesitate. He jumped right into her arms. "You came," she whispered. "You really came." Dusty pressed his head into her chest, purring louder than Mrs. Carter had ever heard. Lily looked up. "Thank you for bringing him." "I promised," Mrs. Carter said. "And I always keep my promises." Lily stood and turned to her foster mom. "Can he sleep with me tonight?" "Of course," the woman said. wherever he wants. Inside, Lily showed Dusty her room. It was small, but clean. A little bookshelf. A bed with soft covers. Dusty hopped onto the bed without waiting. He spun in a slow circle and curled up right at the end. Lily sat beside him, her hand resting on his back. "We're home now," she whispered. Dusty didn't move. Just blinked and gave a low, calm purr. Later that night, the foster mom peeked into the room. Lily was asleep. One arm draped over Dusty like a safety blanket. She whispered to Mrs. Carter. "They look like they've been together forever." "They have," Mrs. Carter replied. "In every way that matters." Before leaving, she placed a small notebook on Lily's shelf. The same one where she had written everything. Notes, dates, worries, hopes. Now it belonged to Lily. A story of a girl, a cat, and the love that saved them both. Asterisk, weeks had passed since. Dusty curled up at the foot of Lily's bed in her new home. No more yelling. No more hiding. Just warm meals, soft blankets, and people who listened. But something still waited. One last part of Lily's story she hadn't finished yet. She stood outside her old school now, holding Dusty close to her chest. Her new foster. Mom gave her a soft nudge. "You ready?" Lily nodded. "He's been waiting for this too." Inside, Mrs. Carter looked up as the classroom door opened. Her eyes widened. "Lily." The class turned. Some gasped. Some smiled. And there, in Lily's arms, was Dusty. Mrs. Carter walked over, her voice catching. "You came back." Lily smiled. "We wanted to visit, just for a little while." Dusty jumped down and strolled across the room like he owned it. He stopped right under the window where he used to sit, then sat down like he remembered. "I missed this place," Lily said. "But mostly, I missed you." Mrs. Carter knelt beside her. "We missed you too, sweetheart. Can I tell them?" Lily asked. Mrs. Carter stood and turned to the class. "Everyone, please take your seats. We have a very special visitor today, and a story you need to hear." Lily walked to the front of the room. Dusty followed and sat right at her feet. She took a deep breath. "This is Dusty. He's not just my cat. He's my best friend." The room was silent. Lily looked down at him. "He followed me to school every single day, even when things were really bad at home. He waited outside this window while I learned. He watched me when no one else did. He protected me." One boy raised his hand. "Is that the cat that bit the guy?" Lily nodded. "Yeah, but only because he was protecting me from someone who hurt me. He's not mean. He's brave." Dusty blinked slowly. "He stayed by me when I ran away. He led someone to find me when I was lost. He never left me, not once." Another kid whispered, "Wow." Lily took a deep breath. "A lot of things were scary before, but Dusty made me feel safe. And now, I don't just have a new home, I have him with me. Forever." The class clapped. A few kids even stood up. Mrs. Carter wiped her eyes. She didn't try to hide it. She stepped forward and hugged Lily tight. "You're the bravest student I've ever had," she whispered. "And Dusty's the bravest cat," Lily whispered back. After show and tell ended, the kids took turns petting Dusty. He didn't run or hide. He just sat still, letting them touch him gently. One girl said, "He looks happy now." Lily smiled. "He is. We both are." As the final bell rang, Mrs. Carter stood by the window. For so long, she had looked out and seen a thin gray cat waiting in the cold. Now, he was inside, safe. "Love." She turned to Lily. "You coming back tomorrow?" "Maybe," Lily said, "if Dusty wants to." Dusty stood and walked toward the door like he understood. And with one last look back, they left the classroom together. No longer just a girl and her stray cat, but a family. Asterisk. Did this story touch your heart? Give it a thumbs up, share it around, and drop your location in the comments.